yeah, it was surreal to be back there and to try to do what I was doing, which is to push for peace. Since there's probably a lot to say about this war, I should say that I interviewed Volodymyr Zelensky, and I will be traveling to Russia to interview Vladimir Putin. And I'm aware of the risks. I accept the risks, and the goal, the mission, is to just push for peace, to do my small part in pushing for peace, and that's what I was trying to do in this conversation. And it required just a huge amount of preparation. For people who don't know, maybe I'll lay out where there was opportunities for peace. So since the beginning of the war, February 24th, 2022, I think there was 3 moments to make peace. From the perspective of Ukraine, you want to make peace from strength. So when you're in a position of strength. The first time to make peace was March and April of 2022, when the Ukrainian forces were able to successfully defend the north, defend Kiev. There was this huge optimism, this belief that we're push back this gigantic Russian military. That's a place for leverage, and the confidence both of the U.S. funding, the European militaries, and the Ukrainian military that we can win this. This is when you make peace, when there is a perception and a reality of strength. The second time was in the fall of 2022, when there was a successful counteroffensive by the Ukrainian forces that recaptured Kharkiv and Kherson. This is the south and the east of Ukraine. And there was this real sense that we could, that the Ukrainian forces can defeat the Russian forces. Huge optimism. A lot of pressure from the U.S. to make peace then. This is the strength and perhaps the weakness of Volodymyr Zelensky, who I do think is a historic figure and a great leader, is that he, one, deeply emotionally feels the suffering of the people and the loss that war creates, and he single-handedly has to unite the nation and carry the will of a people and the morale of a people. He has to lift the morale of a people, and that kind of man struggles to make peace because he understands he wants justice, not peace. And so from a position of strength there, he wants to go further, recapture all of the land that he sees belongs to Ukraine. But that's exactly when you make peace. And so his very strength, a man that stayed in Kiev, that said, fuck you, we're going to win this. That kind of man that lifted a whole nation, that united a whole nation, that man is also struggled to make peace. And so the third time to make peace, after all of that, the Russian military regrouped and has been capturing land gradually. And so the third time to make peace is now. The Trump administration, there's a momentum. They want to make peace. He's a great deal maker. He wants to end wars in all parts of the world.
He's made the deal in Gaza now.
Made the deal in Gaza, and that's a super complicated situation too, because they made a ceasefire deal with the hostages, but
isn't it amazing that the Biden administration had 2 years, couldn't get anything done, and Trump gets it done in a day. He was saying that he was going to be able to do that, and everybody dismissed it.
Yeah, and I think there's a political battle now taking credit for who made the ceasefire, which I think is silly.
Of course you're going to have that.
Yeah.
Biden is the president. He's still the president for another few days.
The point is, with Donald Trump, there's a real will and a momentum to make peace. There's a respect, there's a fear, there's, whatever you think about Donald Trump, he is this person that world leaders respect in the full meaning of the word respect. Not like admire, but fear. I think both Zelensky and Putin fear Donald Trump. And that's a great person to then make peace, because he has the lever. All of them believe, Putin and Zelensky, that Trump could do some crazy shit.
And he probably would, but he doesn't want to.
Right,
This
he
is
doesn't
the
want to.
difference.
And
That's a very unique position that he's in, where they're afraid of him, but yet he wants peace.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so this is the time. And if you don't make peace now, what's going to happen is the funding from U.S. and the support from U.S. is going to dwindle gradually. And Putin is willing and able to just wait and to let the war continue for months and for years. And meanwhile, people are dying every single day.
Yeah.
Thousands of people. And
What's horrible about this war, too, is there's GoPro footage. There's a lot of cell phone footage. There's a lot of GoPro footage. I've watched too much of it, unfortunately. But it's rough, man. It's a horrible war. And it's a war that's so confusing over here, for especially to the uninitiated. For the people that are just like kind of reading the newspaper and getting just a sort of a cursory understanding of what happened. Russia invaded. Why? What'd they do? And then you got to get into the whole U.S.-backed coup in 2014, and then you have to think about NATO and the agreement that was made the fall of, when the wall came down in Berlin. The agreement that NATO would not push forth and move closer to Russia, which they violated over and over and over again. The whole thing is so complicated that it takes forever just to sort of get an understanding of the pieces that are involved. Forget about like who's responsible for what, but just like how many different things are happening, simultaneously that are forcing Putin's hand, now Zelensky's hand, and it's just to be on this side of the world watching it take place. It's almost unbelievable. It's so hard to believe that Russia and Ukraine, which were both a part of the Soviet Union just not that long ago, while during my lifetime, now they're at war.
And I should say that I believe, so how do you handle situations like this? I believe U.S. actually gave not enough money to Ukraine. They should have given more money, hit really hard, and then make peace. This is the point. A month or two after the start of the war, you can learn the same kind of lesson with Iraq and Afghanistan. There's no reason those invasions, those military operations.
There's no other way. There's no other way than just give money. Give money and hit hard. There's no other way. What about
Avoid it.
Yeah. What about
Avoid
have NATO back out?
Well, a lot of this is about diplomatic rhetoric, and yes, NATO was consistently talking shit to Putin, and that's not like a lot of this is about diplomacy,
Right.
and you can't just pressure with words. I mean, for some people, it seems almost silly that you need to show respect to world leaders, but there needs to be shown real respect. Putin has laid out the interest of the Russian Federation. He said he's been very clear about what the interests are. They want their security to be respected. They want their nation to be respected. He's very clear, and simply at the negotiation table, he just needs to be respected. Like, his perspective needs to be understood and heard. You can't just say Putin is evil,
Right.
bad guy, authoritarian, hates freedom. We need to destroy him. This whole vibe and energy this idealistic sense that you bring to the table. You have to respect leaders. You have to respect Xi Jinping. You have to respect Putin when you're at the negotiation table. Not when you're on Twitter and X or talking shit, or historians or activists. Fine, you can criticize as much as you want, as vicious as you want. You can mock. Artists can mock as much as they want. Comedians, doesn't matter. When you're a world leader and you come to the table, you have to show respect. You have to treat other world leaders, as funny as it is to say, the way you want to be treated, with respect.
It's not funny at all. Yeah, makes sense.
And
If you want to get things done.
if you want to get things done, and more importantly, if you want in this war for the death to end, one of the things I kept pushing in an almost childlike way with Zelensky is getting him to open himself up for peace, because he kept shutting it down. He kept mocking Putin. He kept criticizing Putin, which is okay. It's okay to sort of criticize and say that there's war crimes, that there's real vicious violence and destructions happening, but along that there has to be a door open of respect, of I'm willing to come to the table to negotiate and respect the other nation's interests, as opposed to saying I'm only going to talk to the United States. You have to be open to negotiate.